Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today, Tuesday the 3rd. Man, it's the first time this year I forgot what the date is. Let's just get this rolling here. We're going to do our 4-hour sweep. Let's just go. Bitcoin, 4-hour sweep, do a little bit of macro analysis this morning, just get right into it. I'm going to look at the whole market, try to figure out what's going on. It's kind of the first real trading day back. Already got some big moves in the dollar, the yen, and the CAD. It's pretty early. It's like 5:30 a.m. right now. So it's pretty not normal for London to move like this, actually. It used to move all the time. Big in London, and it just hasn't been for the last year and a half or so. It's been pretty dead. But right now we got a big move going on, dollar, yen, and CAD. But we're going to go through and do some analysis, try to figure out what's going on. And good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a fun, safe New Year's Eve. Bitcoin, what's going on with this? Not much. Haven't really heard much about FTX. It's kind of dying out of the news. We're in crypto winter anyway, as far as the cycle is concerned. There's not really much to say here. We're locked in. Our effective trading range, we're just locked in. Had a really good short off of this last week. Like a couple weeks ago, whenever that was, the end of December. When that hit, I mean, it just nailed it to the point, right? We were watching it and then just right back down into nothing. It's not much to say here. I'm not even going to bother doing this. There's nothing here right this second. As far as day trading is concerned, we're right in the top of a range right now. It's probably not a good idea to mess with this. I mean, I wouldn't be buying into that. Probably be waiting to see if this comes back down into here somewhere. We're just right in the middle of a trading range. Not really much to say on that. Next, dollar. Huge move on the dollar already this morning, coming off a low. It's no big surprise. We were trying to get long down here anyway. Just missed that one this morning. We're scaling into it last week. Good game. Not a surprise. I would be very careful trying to be short dollar from here. If you look at where this is, do you really want to be short below this swing low right here? Probably not a good idea. After that big of a move back down, still have rate hikes, even though it was only 50, still a rate hike. I mean, we're in the middle of this trading range right now. As far as today's range is concerned, I probably don't want to be buying up here. So it would make sense that there's some kind of a pullback, over the next couple hours. There'd be some kind of a pullback like that. And I think eventually this week we're going to end up a little bit higher. It makes sense. At least it makes sense. But right now, we definitely don't want to buy this right now. Like, why buy after that big of a move? Missed it. You missed the move. That's not going to fight for a couple pips up here in a very dangerous, and I'm not going to take a lot of risk up here on the top trying to catch just a few pips. I'd rather wait for it to get to a better level and then take a retracement, or wait for it to get to what could potentially be a high of the day. There's a lot of selling here. We're there now. So that may be a thing on the dollar. We're trying to figure out where the high of the day is going to be on that. Next, I mean, there's really not much to say here. And then moving on into Aussie dollar and Euro dollar, there's probably going to be some reversals. Also, as far as the dollar index, it would make sense that there could be some distribution up here. And then, whatever. We may go into some kind of a range. And on lower time frames, it's probably going to be some kind of a pullback on Aussie dollar, Euro dollar, pound dollar, those kind of things. So we just don't want to buy it up here. We don't want to be long dollar in whatever form that may be. Short Aussie dollar or whatever, it's not the right time to do that. Speaking of Aussie dollar, we're in it now. We're in the middle of a bunch of mess. We'll shoot for the bottom end of it. We're there. We're there. We had that strong dollar move. I would let this stabilize and kind of bury into the low down right in here. There's probably going to be some reversals coming. On the macro, got to remember where Aussie dollar is. It's still very low. There's a big range expansion that was happening up here, and we still haven't made it back to equilibrium. We've talked about this for months and months and months on Aussie dollar, and we got this right off the low. It is exactly what's happening. We're waiting for this thing to turn around and start coming back toward equilibrium. The voice is going already. So there's a range that's happening here, kind of in the middle of it, just on the macro. Where are we going? The first analysis of the year here. Where are we heading? Probably up this year on Aussie dollar. There's probably going to be some dollar weakness. However, you don't want to be selling the dollar from here where it is right now. Let it pull back up first, make that lower high. That's what we're going to be looking for over the next few months. Powell says he's not done yet. The market kind of may be starting to get the point. I don't know what all this stuff is just from before, just waiting on these levels on the way down. Yeah, as far as Aussie dollar is concerned, I mean, today, at least, we have a range here. What's probably going to happen this week is we'll probably find some kind of a low down here, and then we'll be locked into a trading range, something like this. So we'll know what our effective range is going to be. It would be normal to come down in here and possibly even bounce back up. If it continues lower, we'll see. I'll have to look and see where we are as far as the ranges. But just looking at just simple price action, supply and demand ish kind of, where's the money? What's likely to happen? It's probably going to be in a range, but we're down today where it's already down because the dollar was so strong. The dollar, the yen, and the CAD have both been very strong again today. And it's already happened. So we're not going to chase it. Got a huge move over like the course of like an hour and a half, in London today. It happened right before I was up and ready to trade. So it just woke up today and the market had already taken off. It was already gone. So next, euro dollar, same situation. It's all dollar based move. We're down back into the buyers here. If you look here to the left, nothing but buyers going on here. Do you really want to sell that? I don't. I will wait and let this stabilize. I think what the most likely scenario here is that this is going to chill out and go into some kind of a, not like that, hopefully, go into some kind of a range like this and then start picking back up. Probably what's going to happen. We'll try to figure out where those ranges are, but this has moved almost 2 days worth of movement in the last 4-hour candle. So what we don't want to do is start selling this now on euro dollar. That's ridiculous, and that's the kind of stuff that'll kill you. That's how you get chewed up. Not understanding potential and how much of that potential has already been used up. Not a good idea to start messing with this right now. Probably going to be looking for reversals. Very similar analysis to Aussie dollar. We'll just give it a chance to stabilize down here. I'm looking for reversals personally on that. It's just me. Euro pound, mess, super messy. Whatever. We'll just call our effective trading range something like this. Not much to do. We're very low volatility range as far as the 4 hours concerned. Again, just looking at macro here. What's going to happen this week? What's likely to happen over the next couple candles as well? Where are we heading here? So we can get a baseline bias. What is our directional bias? We got to know that. Where are we going? We know what to stay out of too. How to filter out bad decisions. What do we not want to mess with? Euro pound, had a good short on that. last week. Probably still valid, to be honest. Keeping this 100 for a second, like we're up. Like this isn't low. Like we're already up and probably going into some kind of a sideways action here. So yeah, we're at the top of that range. So I could see some lower prices here on this. We'll try to figure this out. It could be pound strength. Euro weakness and pound strength. The euro and the pound have been running together so much lately that it's hard to trade this one. I'm not a huge fan of this because of that. Again, I'm very big on relative volatility and understanding that and knowing what not to trade. What pair do I not trade? This is one of them. Just because, I mean, you can catch day trades and stuff on it. There's always going to be intraday movement. But as far as, again, relative volatility wise, the euro relative to the pound, this is not the best thing to trade. It's very choppy for a reason. It's because the euro and the pound tend to run together in the same direction at the same rate. So there's not much spread between the two components of the pair. And that's what forms a candle, is the spread between those two components, the euro and the pound. When one's going one direction and the other's going the other direction, you get big candles. Well, they go the same direction too often, so you get choppy garbage on intraday time frames, and just you can see what's going on here. Just not much here, so we'll skip that. Euro yen, very interesting. Looking to buy this. It cracked the low barely. Going to be looking for the low down here. We're pushing some, and again, you got to go back pretty far. You're talking about August, and you're expecting all of this money to still be here from August, which is not very likely. But at the same time, people are going to see this. Humans look at this and make decisions, even if they're wrong. And we've talked about the logic of that a lot. The logic of it just not being reasonable to believe that and think that way. However, people still make those incorrect decisions, that all of this money is still there in the same configuration on the books back from August. It's not, but humans make decisions based on that historical data, basically. They look back at what has happened in the past and make decisions now, currently, on that information, even if that doesn't even make sense anymore. That from August, that all this money is still here, and you just expect all these people have been waiting since August to get stopped out. That makes 0 sense in this market. So, however, humans will make those decisions based on those levels. Even if it doesn't make sense logically, it still happens. It's one of those weird things. It's catch-22. Self-fulfilling prophecy. People believe it, so it becomes true, even if it's not true. It's weird. Supply and demand and is weird like that. And, whatever you want to call it. Order blocks, supply and demand. Where's the money? When you go back a certain amount of time, that doesn't make sense anymore. The whole logic of that breaks down. It's an interesting thought experiment we talk about all the time. People get super triggered about that. Had people argue with me heavily about that before, about the weekly chart and the monthly chart. Looking at monthly charts to try to find where to buy today on a day trade, and how little sense that actually makes. Now, again, the flip side is humans still make decisions based on that information, so it becomes true. Even if it doesn't make sense, it's still true, it's just an interesting thing to think about in trading. Euro yen, looking for a low. We got a big broken low here. I have a feeling that there's going to be a big reversal here after this kind of a move. This was a little bit overdone. It was already down, and it's down another 550. You're talking about over the last couple weeks, you're down 1,000 pips, just boom. Then it tried to struggle and make it back up, boom, another low, and it broke the low, which is the important thing. It's time to start watching this for shorts closing. Somewhere down near, at, or below this swing low, there's going to be some shorts closing down there, which is going to go the other way, right? Buying back into the market at a lower price. So there's going to be a lot of buying down here. So we're looking to take that the other way. We're not looking to sell this on the low. So opportunity there on Euro Yen. Euro CAD. Boy, had that right. You know, this is one of those, we were just talking about this in a group. Once you go back and look at this at the time when you can't see the right side of the chart, the right side of the chart hasn't developed yet. And we're looking at this and we keep trying to scale into the high and keep trying to scale in, and then you get it and you look back at it later and you're up 600 pips and you're like, holy cow, like, you know, we were doing the right thing at the time. You know, or you don't know that at the time, but you look back at it later and it's like, man, you know, we had it, and closed it out on a basket, but you know, had it right, and then caught the counter move back up. I'm actually still short here. I don't have it marked. I'm short from whenever the last trading day was. I just held it over the holiday. Up quite a bit, up like 100 pips. Short from back into this consolidation somewhere. It's up about 100 pips, so I can see the dollar amount, and it's probably about 100 pips. So I do remember being short back in here. So probably going to continue here. This is completely bombed out. This is way up. This is not low. It's way up. So we're really looking to sell the high of the day every day on this. Sell the highs though. You don't want to start selling down here. Gonna get hurt doing that. It'll be in a range and it'll pull back and forth. Actually, it'll probably be a long at some point, but it may just leave this one alone today. But every time this thing gets back up on this high, I'm gonna be looking to sell the highs. It's probably gonna break this low right here. That's what we're watching, a break of the swing low. And when it does, you know, we'll be looking to take it back up. Once it cracks that low, all the shorts will close and then be heading back the other way. Euro Aussie. It's a mess. Nothing to say here, just price action wise. It's even as far as today, we're really locked in here to a very tight, choppy range. This is probably just not the one to mess with. The Euro has been weak and the Aussie's been weak. Euro Kiwi is going to look similar. We'll just move to that. It's going to be the same. It's going to be very choppy. As far as today is concerned, you know, if you were trying to buy this, just look at all the selling that's been happening in this area. So you're selling at a very dangerous level here. Or sorry, buying. If you're buying this, look at what you're buying into. You're buying into the top of a range. So let's not do that. Right? Trying to quit. Trying to quit. You know, so just set up an effective trading range here. Just very simply, like this. No secret strategy here. You know, it just is what it is. Don't have to make up fancy names for this kind of stuff. Just supply and demand. Where's the money? Where were people buying? Where were people selling? Not to call it some fancy thing. Yeah. You know, we're at the top. Do you really want to buy that? Probably not. Skip it. Pound dollar. Heck of a short there. You know, and this is kind of what we were talking about earlier about how close we were. And you don't know at the time. You haven't seen the right side of the chart yet. And you start taking entries, you know, trying to catch the peaks every time. Try to catch that high peak. And trying to catch that high of the day, the high of the week on the peak. And then you look a little bit later and you got one of these things running 500 something pips in the green. Still haven't hit target yet. But nothing to say here. The big strong dollar pushed this down again. We're just looking for the low of the day. If you're short, be taking profit on the low of the day. It's breaking that spike low over here to the left back from, when was that? November 30th. You know, so yeah, it'll be a good extraction point to pull some money out to take some profit on some shorts there. So I would assume that we're going to get some kind of a pullback up. Market's moving this morning, that's for sure. Moved early. Started in Asia overnight, which is odd. So basically really close to London Open, everything started moving. So nothing to do here. This is already way down. Start real quick. Sure. Yeah, everything's just completely blown out. Looking for a low. We're watching this for a break of the low, and then I bet you there's going to be some pullback up. Pound yen, completely blown out. Same thing, just blown out all the way back down. All the way back down. Again, same thing. Going to be looking for the low of the day. It might be very close to the low of the day. We don't know what this is going to look like yet. And because this, again, statistically is so low right now, won't get into specific strategy, but there's a reasonable possibility that you get something like this. So we don't want to be short down here. We do not want to be selling this on the low after that kind of a move. Stupid. It's not good risk management to be trading like that. And we're not taking any 20 lot trades short down here. It's just, you run the risk of getting blown out back up to the upside. So the better thing to do is be looking for the low of the day. The price action's not quite there yet with that big candle, but might want to pay attention to this one and be careful trying to sell it and wait for some kind of a low to get put in. When this thing starts going back the other way, it's going to be a freight train. So just keep in mind that when this thing stops and starts coming back, look at where it is and what's probably going to happen. So just be careful selling the bottom. Don't be a bottom shorter. Nobody likes a bottom shorter. Don't do it. Pound CAD. Pound CAD. What all this is. Lower time frame markups. Looking for the high. Looks what it looks like. Yeah, so as far as this, pound CAD, same situation. I thought we already talked about that. Maybe it was earlier. Yeah, just big, huge blowout off the top. This was already high. Euro CAD's very similar. This was already way up, and it's pulled back. We got that part of it right. We were doing the right thing, scaling into the high, and now it's time to start scaling in for the bounce. There's probably going to be a range here. There's very likely going to be some kind of a range like this, and we're going to try to find where the bottom of it is and run it back up. It's just probably not it yet. Again, this is already blown out pretty far today. May not be the best idea to start buying into it necessarily right this second, maybe. For a day trade, probably. And again, it looks like a lot of these, like all the pound pairs, you kind of see a pattern here. All these pound pairs look like they're going to stall and then start coming back the other way. And even stuff against the dollar and the yen too. There's probably going to be a bunch of reversals. So just put it that way. Pound Swiss, I'm long on this, or was, not anymore, I guess. Was long on this. It closed when I hit target, but tried to catch this. I would probably rather be long than short. It's not the best entry right now. Probably skip it. We're at the top of a range. Oh man, I'm tired. Did not get enough sleep. Was actually up working on programming, releasing some very, very good software. Probably not the best idea to start buying into this right now. However, in structure, it is lower. It's lower in structure. Got a possible higher low here. I'm not a big fan of these kind of ranges like this. I wouldn't buy into it right now. I wouldn't buy it right now. A little too close. I would have to look and see where this is relative to its range, its potential range. So yeah, nothing really. Nothing on that yet. Pound Aussie. This one looks a little better. Running into the money down here. Broke the low. As soon as that broke that swing low right there, it was time to close short and get back in the other way. This actually looks okay. That Aussie's weak too. The pound is kind of gaining a little bit short term. This doesn't look terrible. I like this price action, where you get, broken low, broken low, broken low, broken low, and it pops up and goes into a consolidation. That looks like a cycle low starting potentially. We don't know yet, but we could take a reasonable guess that if this does go into a consolidation here, that we'll be trying to buy the bottom of that range to catch the first and the first level of the cycle. Basically, that maybe this mini cycle has completed and we're going to start stepping this back up. Markets step up and down in ranges. They always have. It's just psychology. So it's market psychology that you're seeing play out. And just the simple quote, air quotes physics of it. No physics involved in the market, but in the psychology of it, it's very similar. Where there's just not enough people willing to sell anymore. So your balance of buyers and sellers flips the other way. And first you go into after coming out of a downtrend like this, first you go into a range and then you start going the other way where there's an equal buyer and seller balance. And then eventually there will be more buyers and sellers because people figure out that this is already down and you're not getting a good deal anymore if you're selling low. You're selling something that's already down. So finding that balance of the market is the art, both an art and a science. I think it's probably more science than art, but there is an art to it. Anyway, we're already down. That's the point. I would watch this for a consolidation. I bet you there's going to be some upside here. We'll see what's up with the pound. It looks like a lot of these pound pairs are going to start reversing back the other way. Jury's still out on the dollar, yen, and CAD. We'll see what's up with those. Pound Kiwi. This has been super messy lately. I don't know what's going on with this one. The Aussie and Kiwi have kind of split a little bit. They generally run together. This has just been a weird one lately, to be honest. Messy, super messy price action. This can be a great pair to trade because it's so volatile. Its range relative to its spread makes it very efficient. It's a very good thing to trade most of the time. The price action's been terrible. So, I don't know. It's been pretty bad lately. I definitely wouldn't be buying this right now on this. This is just not good price action. There's nothing but selling going on here. Recent price action wise, there's nothing but selling going on here recently, and we're already up. I'm not buying the top of this candle and all of these wicks. Those wicks just represent highs of those time periods. Each one of these is a 4-hour time period, and those highs of those candles were in those time periods. I'm not trying to buy this right here. I'm not trying to buy the top. I'm trying to quit. Trying to not do that. Lower low on CAD Yen. Again, this is actually crazy. I thought this was going to bounce back up into a range actually a couple weeks ago. I was looking to buy it and it just didn't. Got that weird Bank of Japan thing, pushed it down. Wasn't in it at the time, thankfully. But yeah, just keep trying to get into it and it runs up and take profit and then it goes back and breaks the low. It's about time to get back in it again. I mean, gosh, there's a big gap down here, but not selling a lower low just because there was a gap, a year ago. That doesn't make sense at all. So, people look at this and be like, oh, well, look at the gap. This thing's dead. It's going to die. Okay, well, that was a year ago. You don't think anybody's taking profit from that? And also recently, What's relevant to now, we're down 1,460 pips off the high, straight down. Straight down. So I'm not looking to sell this because there's a gap right here. So, you know what I mean? Know what I mean, Vern? We're on a broken low here. This is a great place for shorts to close. Great place for shorts to close. What better time to do it than where everybody's stop losses are? Everybody who was long in here and had a stop under that spike low. There's a whole pool of liquidity right here in the form of sell side liquidity. What do you need if you were short in here, anywhere up here in this consolidation? If you were short and you need to get out of your short, what do you need? You need some sucker willing to sell it at a lower price so you can buy it. So you can buy your position back, right? You have to buy your position back at a lower price. That's how you make money from a short. And in order to do that in there's a zero-sum game market here where there always has to be a buyer and a seller. You need some sucker willing to sell it to you at a lower price in order for you to take profit on your short and run it back the other way. Think about it. This is not the time to be selling this on a broken low. It's just not. Dollar CAD range, it's a mess. Womp womp. Nothing here. It's too close to the middle. It's on the way to the high of the range. The dollar was crazy strong. It's still strong. Maybe we'll take another look at that in a minute. Yeah, this dollar, I would be looking for the dollar to probably reverse here soon, though. The dollar's completely blown out. It's actually looking like it's probably putting in some good entries right now for Euro dollar and Aussie dollar. Euro dollar for sure. Euro dollar looks like, man, it's close. This thing's about to, man, this thing's almost done a week's worth of movement in like 4 hours, 5 hours. What the heck is going on? Anyway, strong dollar. Just looking at Euro dollar on another chart, I was like, what the heck? It's way down. It's looking like it's probably going to be a reversal, though, day trade wise. You know, I don't know with dollar CAD. I would wait for it to get back to the top of the range. You know, it's this. You know, sellers on the top, buyers on the bottom, and we're not quite there yet. So you could assume that we'll be a little bit higher at some point. Whatever. You know, it's probably heading back to the top of the range. It's just not a good entry right now. I probably wouldn't even mess with that at all. Now that price action looks better. The NASDAQ. Moving along. NASDAQ. Love it. Kind of good trade off in here the other day too. Nothing to do with this right now. It's on the way back up. It's kind of at it's not really a good spot. It's kind of back at this inflection point right here where it was a previous low and a high. It's just not the best entry long. However, it probably is moving back up now that all the tax selling's done. We got the first of the year coming. We're down a lot. There's a lot of room for this to pull back up at least a little bit. Doesn't mean it's not going to go lower this year, but there's a lot of room for this to pull up at least in a range, at least. And by that, I mean, like, you know, something like this, or maybe even on the macro, something like this, you know, higher. There's probably room for this to come back up a little bit. It's just not the best thing right now, necessarily. Got this up pre-market and the dollar up too, and the yen up. Something doesn't smell right. Smells fishy to me. Correlations are broken today. But be careful. Something's gonna break. Something's gonna break today. Both can't continue in that direction. They can't continue in the same direction just because of the way the market works. Temporarily, but not forever. So got a range here. This doesn't look good. The aggressive play would be to sell it, to be honest. I do think we're going to end up a little higher at some point, but right now is not a good time to be long. If it's not a good time to be long, it's probably a short. It's either no trade or a short, right? If it's not a good long, you can boil it down and say if it's not a good long, it's probably either no trade or it's a short. Let me look at the range. Possible high of the day. Yeah, we just went off the hash to the pip on the NASDAQ to the point off the hash mark that was set at 3 a.m. this morning. Probably the high of the day. So the aggressive play would be to be short equities, at least right now, as far as today is concerned. Over the next couple days, possibly the same thing. Boy, the red hammer of truth spoke. The red hammer of truth has spoken. This was here weeks ahead of time. We were watching this level a long time ago. Everybody was buying up here. Everybody was buying up there. Talked about this. It's a good time for fund managers, portfolio managers to take profit for their clients. Just 100 million% right about that. Now look at it. That was a good short last week too. Had some good trades on this lately. Not a good time to be long. We're just back at the top of the range. Probably going to be pulling back a little bit. We'll be range bound for probably a few days, which is good because it's predictable. So we'll watch that. Yeah, it's probably the high of the day. The high of the day is very possibly in today for stocks already. 6:13 a.m. on Tuesday. That was probably the high. The short-term price action's looking like it. We'll see what happens as it pulls back, but I will probably be in a range today. It'd be cool if it went up more. Honestly, this kind of looks bullish in a way. Be watching somewhere around there for an entry. The other way, if you really wanted to be aggressive, you could buy it and try to break the high, but I may leave it alone. I'll watch and see what happens short term. Nothing to say about that. The VIX, not a surprise that's up. We're on the low. Volatility inbound. It's just people buying protection against volatility. Nothing to say there. Oil. It's again right off the low, off the big broken low down here. It's time to get back into it. I think we're going to see some higher prices this year on oil. Macro wise, as far as right now, and just this. If you look at it this way, just assume that this is our current trading range. We're right smack in the middle of it. It's not really a good idea to make a big decision either way. Look at it lower time frames maybe and try to figure out some day trades maybe on this. I could see a potential bounce for a couple hours maybe. Where it is right now, lower time frames, it's probably going to bounce and come back up just a little bit. It looks like it's going to be in a range. As far as the 4-hour chart's concerned and what's going to happen over the next couple candles, which is really what our job is at this point. As a day trader, our job right now is to figure out what's going to happen over the next 2 candles on the 4-hour chart. We have our 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. candle, our 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. candle, and our 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. candle market close today. We have 2 candles after this one today. All we have to do is figure out what the next 2 candles are going to look like on this 4-hour chart. Funny when you think about it that way, right? Our job right now is to figure out what the next two candles are going to do. What is more likely to happen over the next two candles on this 4-hour chart? What's the most likely outcome? And that's, that's what we do. That's what we do in the group. So, skip it for now. Just came off the top of a range, just rejected off the top of the range and going into a consolidation. It's probably not the best time to make a decision on that. Higher high on silver. Looking to sell the high of the day. Easy call, nothing to say. Just another high. Just another one. Higher high. Higher high. Higher high. Higher high again. What happens every time? Every single time. What happens? Mr. Slithery the snake is slithering up the mountain. Where's Mr. Slithery the snake going to slither to next? So getting a kind of an evening star up here on a higher high on silver. If you wanted to do the traditional charting thing, which we don't do here. We don't do trend lines. Friends don't let friends do trend lines. But if you did, what would you do here? Would you want to buy that on the high? Would you want to buy that on a higher high? Do you think that's a great idea? I know what I'm looking to do. So we'll look at that in the group and try to stalk that move. It's already started actually anyway. But yeah, I'll probably be looking to get into there on that. Gold, I'm assuming, is going to be similar. We were just talking about this before we started the analysis. On gold, there's not much to say here. We're back into density in the sellers on a higher high. There's 0% chance that I'm going long here. 0. Not even on a 1-minute chart. So take that for what you will. That's just me personally. What's the most likely outcome? Again, trading comes down to probability. Like, you could look at it that way. What's the most likely? We don't know what's going to happen, right? Nobody knows for sure unless you're the one moving the market. And none of us here are the ones moving the market. We're actually not at all moving the market. Even when we click the buy and sell button, the market isn't moving because of that. It's just a ledger on the back end that's changing. So unless you're the one moving the market, you can't know what's going to happen. So we have to think about probability. What's the most likely thing that's going to happen? There's no guarantees in trading, but we can make a very, very good guess. We can make a much better guess than most other people. And that's what we do. It's about probability. What is the most probable outcome here? Given where we are relative to recent price action, relative to our current ranges, what's the most likely outcome, right? So what we don't want to be is long here. I don't personally. That doesn't mean you're not going to get, a 3-pip move on a 1-minute chart. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what is our directional bias here. And we're looking at a 4-hour chart. Sure, you could trade both ways, lower time frames. Nothing wrong with that at all. But for this purpose here, for our current context of, our macro analysis here, what is the most likely thing that's going to happen for the rest of the week? I'll let everyone draw their own conclusion. What's the most likely thing that's going to happen on the right side of the chart, in this area right here? The right side of the chart hasn't been printed yet. What's more likely to happen? And I know what I'm going to be doing. So what did we learn? That's pretty much most of the major assets, the things that matter, things that have volatility and liquidity. Buckhorn, nothing to do. Still not sure what's going on with FTX. I'll have to look into it. They stopped him from testifying, basically. He was going to wreck the Democrats, and they stopped him before he could do it. So nothing to say there. as far as the asset class itself, crypto is just in the winter phase. It's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. As we approach the halving, right before the halving, we'll be looking to get in again. But it's going to have to be lower. I'm assuming there's going to be a sell-off right before the halving. And then we'll probably get another bonkers run at least one more time. Where the low is going to be, we're going to have to watch and see. Got a bunch of targets on the downside. Got a couple places that we're willing to make decisions. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be months probably before anything exciting happens in crypto. It sucks, but it's the same thing every time. It's horrible. This part of the cycle is terrible. This is when people lose the most amount of money. But probably the second most place, other than buying the top, when everybody's buying the euphoria on the highs and everybody thinks it's going to $1 million. Right about now, after it drops and it just goes into the doldrums of nothing, this is when people lose all of that money they held for so long, and they're just not willing to take anymore, and they need that money now. And they start there's just a continual down pressure, and as it starts to get lower, there'll start to be some accumulation and some volume will come back in. A lot of times it'll go one more time, it'll die out, and then it'll just be one more thing, and then off to the races before the halving. I know people don't want to see that. I don't want to see that happen, but it's the most likely outcome, right? There's no volume. Like, we're in thin markets as it is, and I don't think crypto can take any more negativity. Got central bank digital currencies coming. That's going to steal some of the thunder. It will. I don't know about all of it, but it'll steal some of it. We'll see how that plays out legally in the future over the next 5 years or so. 5 to 10 years. Who knows how that's going to play out. The legal aspect of that. Especially with decentralized finance. DeFi is probably not what you want to invest your long-term money in. Short term is one thing, trade it and make money on it, get those mad gains. It's not what I'm talking about. Anyway, enough about crypto. There's nothing to say it's dead. There's no reason to trade it. I honestly, there's no reason to sit and look for a day trade on Bitcoin. There's not enough volatility. There's a liquidity problem everywhere, but especially in crypto, it's starting to show its ugly head here over with all this FTX stuff. Problem's still there. So the dollar, crypto is probably a no touchy. The dollar, big blown out move, very, very likely going to be some reversals at some point. I'm looking to sell the top of the range personally. We'll watch it and see where that's going to be. It's probably very, very, very close right now. So a big smackdown on the wick, and then possibly a red candle after this. Probably don't want to be long here. Probably not a good idea. So we're watching things like Aussie dollar in the money right now. Euro dollar in the money right now. We don't know what the right side of this chart's going to look like. What if this wicks all the way back up, puts in a hammer, and then starts going the other way because it's already just beaten down beyond its equilibrium? Pound could be getting stronger, so euro pound may be coming down. I could see that happening. Euro yen's another one of those. We're going to be looking for the low of the day here. It's way down deep. We're going to watch this. Anything lower than this spike low back here from September, going to be watching that for shorts to close. In the liquidity. Everybody, shorts basically taking advantage of the breakout buyers. Euro CAD still same thing. Everything's down. Like all that stuff is down. The CAD, the dollar, and the yen stuff, because the CAD, the dollar, and the yen were so strong. It's about time to flip over and start taking some entries here, guys. Yen and dollar stuff time to start trading. Anyway, kind of a lazy, say Monday, it's Tuesday, beginning of the week analysis. Man, stuff's just already started moving, and I think it's very likely that we're going to get some reversals here, and I think it's time to start scaling into some of those. So hope everybody has a good week. Again, as the information changes, our bias will change. Maybe we'll take another look at this in a couple days, and at the macro and see what's going on. Probably going to start seeing me a lot more live. Not going to make any announcements right now, but probably going to be coming back very, very soon to YouTube. Did it for years and years, every single day, 24 hours a day, the stream was on, and just kind of got burned out of it for a little bit. Needed to focus on other things, and that's probably about to happen again. So we'll see you very soon.